What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We have another episode of Custom Showcase. Yeah, it's been a while, that's for sure. And today we're going to be talking about my WWE Elite version of none other than Dana White. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. Alright, so this has been a custom figure that I've been wanting to get done for a couple years now. I always liked Dana White. And then once Jazzwares did the UFC line that was too small, I was like, man, I really hope they continue this line even though it's small. And then they did the other line that was the corrected height, and it got canceled after one series. I was like, crap, we're never going to get a Dana. And I have the old Jack-specific Dana White figure. It was in that Ruthless Aggression style posing. And I was never pleased with it. I didn't like the head sculpt. Obviously, the body's way too big because that's just how the Jack-specific figures were at the time. So I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can get together some Mattel Build-A-Figure parts and come up with something that will, I guess, just satisfy the itch that I have to have a Dana White in my collection. And I thought I came up with something perfect. I like the way it looks. There's just one pretty big issue with it, which you guys will see later in the video, and I'm having a hard time getting past that. So I definitely will need your input in the comments because I'm not 100% pleased with this, but I did want to give you guys a custom showcase video in the meantime. But let's go ahead and take the UFC title off of them. I figured that'd be nice for the thumbnail. But this Dana White figure is a combination of, I believe, 3 different Build-A-Figures from Mattel. So, starting off at the head, this is a 3D printed head. I found the file on Colts 3D. I sent it to my buddy with a resin printer, and I got basically what I wanted. It took a couple of times trying to find the sizing that I wanted, but it does look good. As you see, it's 3D printed. You can see the inside, it's gray. And I sent it off to Jacob Does Stuff. I've used him before. You can look him up on Instagram. He did the painting for me. I'm very pleased with that. I think that looks really good because the likeness is definitely there. And normally with like people with hair, you can kind of get away with some stuff as long as you make the hair look good and all that. But when you're bald, you just got to make sure the head looks good and the face looks good. And he added like some stubble, it looks like, throughout the sides and the back, which is what you typically see on guys that are bald. So that is actually really cool. I like that attention to detail. Very pleased with that, Jacob. From one Jacob to another, thank you. I appreciate it. So let's get into the parts that were chose for this figure. The very first thing, we'll go with the overcoat. That is from the Commissioner Michaels Build-A-Figure from the Monday Night Wars line. I saw that and I was going to use... I was going to use the Commissioner Michaels torso, but I was toying around with some other Build-A-Figure arms, and once those boys got stuck in that peg or in that spot for the arms, those did not want to come out. No matter how many times I stuck it in boiling water, those things were stuck, and that's unfortunate, but it is one of those things. So that's why the torso is actually from the Paul Ellering Build-A-Figure from the WrestleMania set several years ago. We had Shawn Michaels, had Chyna, had that really bad Edge from his match with Mick Foley, and I do not remember who else was in that line off the top of my head at all. But Paul Ellering was the Build-A-Figure. You can make classic Paul, you can make NXT Paul. And I like even though it doesn't have the elite articulation for the torso, it is unfortunately like a basic. It does look good, like a little black sweater, which is something I could see Dana White wearing under a suit. The arms, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't entirely know which figure they are from, but they are double jointed because if you're going to make a custom nowadays, you got to have the updated parts, in my opinion. And the double jointed arms are never a bad idea, especially when you look at this old Toys R Us Triple H, and I did a head swap on it, just the single jointed arms. Just, it's a product of the time. It looks good. It's a nice silhouette to like make it look cohesive, but it the double jointed arm or the single jointed arms do stand out compared to the double jointed arms. So, just a personal preference. We switched over to double jointed arms 3 or 4 years ago at this point. I don't want to use old parts to make new customs. So, other than that, the legs are actually from, once again, a newer Build-A-Figure. I believe it's actually one of the referees. Those pants look really good. The dress pants, it's hard to knock them, honestly. They work really good. They have nice... Jesus Christ. That's always one of the bad things about a Build-A-Figure, to be honest with you, is if you do bend them too much, those boys will pop apart. So I guess I'll just go ahead and show you. Yeah, it's the referee legs. I somehow got a paint scratch on there during all of that. So that's all fine and dandy, but you just pop it back together, I think. Yep, you just pop it back together and it's all good. Then you put the head right back on there and it's like that never happened, because that was embarrassing. But those are the parts that are being used for it. Now it's time to get into, I gotta get a little more sticky tack for that head, but it's time to get into the thing that I hate about this figure. Now, Dana White is 5'11", which isn't tall, but it isn't short by any means. So, I was grabbing the other Jazzwares, or the Jazzwares UFC figures. I noticed that this figure is just too short. And that's where I run into the issue of I don't know what other parts to use unless I make a Dana White in blue jeans and like a white V-neck like he wears sometimes. I did look it up though. Like I said, Dana White is 5'11". The other person that is 5'11" is AJ Styles. So, when you do that, they look like they're about the same height. I don't know if this AJ is undersized, but I know this Dana is undersized specifically for his comparison with the Jazzwares line. So, I was looking it up, and we're going to look at 5 different guys here. And Uriah Faber is 5'6". Now, this could just be a product of using reuse, because I think that's what it is. But this is how tall Uriah is compared to Dana. They're eye to eye. So technically speaking, this guy's 5'6", this guy's 5'11". So that just doesn't really line up at all. Now Uriah scales well with the rest of the UFC line, but I also think that those figures are just a little too big. Here he is with Jorge Masvidal. Like I said, about the same height. I can work with that. I don't know how tall Jorge is. And then here is Conor McGregor with some different legs, because I can't find the legs for McGregor right this moment. And I feel like Dana should be a little bit taller than McGregor. But this is just 2 other examples. But here's where things get even more carried away. When you add in Adesanya, you see the height difference is pretty bad. Now, I think Adesanya is 6'4", I believe. Yeah, Adesanya is 6'4". And then when you add in Francis Ngannou, then things get even a little more carried away, because he's even bigger than Adesanya. And like, yeah, Dana White's going to be shorter than him, obviously, but Ngannou is 6'4" as well. So even there are inconsistencies in their own. Well, maybe there's not inconsistency. Maybe they are the same height. Either way, like they tower over Dana White. But maybe that's accurate. I don't know. That is my big issue, is the fact that I don't know what to do with the height. My last comparison is going to be him against somebody else from TKO, and another guy that is 6'4", and that is Triple H. And I just feel like Triple H might be the same height as other. Okay, so they all are the same height, but let's see how they look in figure form. Triple H with Adesanya about the same height. So maybe Dana White is like, do you guys think it scales well? It kind of looks like a big and little thing going on here. I want to know what you guys think. But that is going to be it for today's video. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and last but not least, take it easy.